Welcome back, Light Up Literature Curriculum family. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are going to knock out comma rules with dialogue. Now, I know you've probably seen this for a few years, but we're going to work on all three types. When you have dialogue that starts where you need a comma in the beginning, whether you need it at the end or at the second, close to the end, or whether you need it in the middle. So let's get started. So, commas help us clarify who is speaking, and they separate spoken words from dialogue using tags. So, like he said, she said, they said. It's pretty boring, but that's how it keeps us from the real action of what they're saying and break it up for us to make it a little easier for us to read and to understand. So, if we have dialogue in the beginning, she said, let's go to the park. So we're going to say she said, comma. The comma is going to be on the outside of the quotation mark. Then you're going to put your quotation marks around what was said. And your end punctuation is going to be inside the quotation mark. So she said, comma, quotation mark, let's go to the park, period, end quotation mark. All right, so that is our rule when we start a sentence with our dialogue tag. That's what we're going to call these, dialogue tags. Now, if we have our dialogue tag at the end, it's going to be pretty much the exact same except flipped. Quotation, let's go to the park. We're going to have our comma on the inside of that second quotation, showing that is exactly what the character said. And then we'll have she said with our end punctuation mark. So that's how we're going to do it with our end dialogues. Now, sometimes if we're really wanting to emphasize it, we're going to go ahead and put like an exclamation point, or instead of the comma, we'll put a question mark just to signify, and that is going to be okay. We'll look at those specific cases as well. Now, if we're going in the mid, like here we are we going to the park? That's a question. So we're not going to put a comma there. We're going to put our question mark where our comma would be. Since it's a question, and we're going to have our quotations and our question mark inside our quotations, and then our dialogue tag. Now, if it's like an interjection or something to cause attention, watch out. So we're going to have quotation mark, watch out, exclamation point, because that's like, hey, pay attention. And then our end quotation mark. And then our dialogue tag, he shouted. So when we have something like that, we're not going to use a comma. We're going to use the actual end punctuation we need. In most cases, you're going to be using the comma. But just remember, whether it's a comma or another end punctuation mark, it's going to go inside the quotations. All right. So broken dialogue. So when we have it broken in half, quotation mark, I don't know, comma, quotation mark, she said, comma, quotation mark, if I have time, period, quotation mark. So we have to do it. We can't say in the second one, in the incorrect one, you see, I don't know, in quotation marks with a period, she said, comma, if we have time, quotation mark. So the reason why the second one doesn't work is because even though it kind of looks like it would work, this isn't a complete thought or a complete sentence. If we have time. If we have time, what? So when we have it as one sentence, it brings in the complete thought. So that's why the period would be incorrect. Now, if this was going to be a compound sentence, you could do this because there are two independent clauses. But the way this is written, we have a independent clause, I don't know, and a dependent, if we have time. So we're not able to separate them with periods. So that's why we're going to have quotation, I don't know, comma on the inside of ending that first quote in our quotation. She said, our dialogue tag with our comma, and then our quotation, if we have time, our end punctuation is on the inside of that last quotation mark. So these rules help us separate the dialogue when we can. It also kind of helps with repetitiveness. If you read a whole bunch of he said, she said, back and forth, this kind of breaks that monotony up. And we definitely want to do that, especially if you're writing and you don't love reading like that, don't write like that. All right. Now, let's take a look at some practice. Which one of these is punctuated correctly? Go ahead and pause the video, and I'll show you the answer on the other side. All right, it was C. Quotation. I don't know, comma, quotation mark. She said, comma, and then our quotation mark. If I can go, period, quotation mark. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Fix the mistake. I can't believe she said we finally made it. So we're doing pretty good here, except we're missing our two commas that we need. I can't believe it. We need that comma inside that quotation mark. You can see that in the fixed sentence. And then we have our dialogue tag, she said, but we need to put a comma there so that we can close that up as our dialogue tag and then have our other sentence in our quotations. Alrighty. Here is your final challenge. Go ahead and pause the video, and I will show you the correct answers on the next slide when you're ready. Alrighty, here we go. Quotation, we should go to the movies, comma, quotation, he suggested, comma, quotation, before it gets too late, period, quotation mark. All right, are you coming with us, comma, quotation mark, or you could use a question mark in that same place. Ask Jenna. Lisa said, comma, I can't wait for summer break, period, quotation mark. Number 4, that was amazing, comma, quotation mark, he exclaimed, comma, I've never seen anything like it, exclamation point, quotation mark. And we have our last one. Let's get some ice cream, comma, quotation mark, Sarah said, with our comma for our dialogue tag, and then quotation, before the shop closes, in punctuation inside our quotation mark. All right, so here's a quick summary of what that really looks like. If you have your dialogue at the beginning, you're going to use the comma before the quote. If your dialogue tag is at the end, you're going to use it inside the quotation mark. Strong punctuation, keep question marks and exclamation points, but they're also still going to be inside the quotations. And broken dialogue, make sure you use it to the comma in the first part of the sentence or the first section. You're going to have a comma inside the quotation mark. And then after your dialogue tag, he said, she said, they said, blah, blah, blah. Then you're going to have your comma and then the next quotation section. All right. I hope you got all of those. If not, go ahead and go to your practice if you're one of my kiddos. And if you're not, and you want to be one of my kiddos, go ahead and visit lightUpLiterature.com and just subscribe so that you see more ELA and grammar lessons. Alrighty, until next time, stay safe, healthy, and happy. See ya!